What's up, beautiful people? It's your boy Joshua Martin, and welcome to another episode of Rigculture, where we show filmmakers showcasing their own rigs, their setups, and hopefully you get inspired to build your dream rig setup as well. Still working on that intro. But hey, we got a good mix of filmmakers today, so let's just jump right into it.
My name is Nolan, filmmaker from Brooklyn, New York, cinematographer slash director sometimes when I feel like it, slash writer other times when I feel like it. Yeah, I make movies. Alright, let's get into it. Today I'm going to show you some of my camera configurations built around one of my smaller camera bodies, the A7sii. Gonna try to make this really quick. First up, we have my more built out setup from when I'm part of a larger team. I just want to preface by saying I do not know why my monitor is all the way up there. If this was on my shoulder, I would never be looking that high. I would usually have it off to the side using the Smallrig EVF NATO rail mount. Okay, the A7sii is in its obligatory cage accompanied by its top handle. On top of said handle is my small HD DP7. Attached to the side of the cage is my Teradek bolt for wirelessly transmitting video signal to client monitors. The A7sii cage is seated in a tripod plate with a 15mm rod attachment that can be raised or lowered. In front of the camera, I have one of the lenses from my Zeiss Contax Prime kit, the 50mm 1.4, I believe, with a bright tangerine misfit atom matte box. This matte box is a clamp on, but I did configure it to slide onto 15mm rods. Underneath that, I have a Smallrig bridge with a rosette on each side so that I can attach my Smallrig extending arms. On one side I have, I think, a Camvate grip, but on the other side, one of my newest and most favorite toys, the Nucleus M hand remote grip. This I pair with the Nucleus Nano motor so that I can pull focus while keeping my hands away from the lens and on the grips. On the back I have a V-mount HyperCore 75 battery to power all of the things you see I have here right now. Fully charged, this will get me through an entire day. And underneath that I have a shoulder pad which just slides onto the back of my 15mm rods. I do not like the more robust shoulder pads that have too many things built into them, like rod attachments and tripod plates, because I like to be able to adjust my shoulder pad so that I can slide the shoulder pad forward or attach rods to the back of the rods that are already there and then slide the battery back to counterbalance the weight. I want to be able to do that without having to adjust too much on the camera body. Moving on to a more lightweight setup. So I've taken off one of the Smallrig extending arms and just moved the Nucleus M remote directly into the bridge just to keep it closer to the body. I've also flipped the other side and turned the Camvate handle upwards to operate more like a side handle, once again just to hold it close to the chest. I've removed the small HD DP7 and thrown on my FreeWorld 4K monitor, which can be powered up for Sony NPF battery. I've also removed the matte box and threw on a Gold variable ND. Alright, some cables you're going to need with a configuration like this. First up is you're going to need a D-tap splitter. Also going to need a Sony dummy battery, preferably with a capacitor in the middle to control the amount of voltage that goes into your camera. Also, I like to use right angle cables for my Nucleus motor, just because when I'm moving it around on the camera, the cable can get damaged. So a right angle cable is a more long lasting cable. I also have a USB to PTAP cable for my Nucleus motor, once again with a capacitor in the middle so that you don't fry your equipment. I also like to use a right angle micro HDMI to HDMI cable to run a signal out of my camera.
Anwar's a filmmaker based in Kazakhstan, but one particular gear I want to talk about for his rig, for his Blackmagic Pocket 4K, is that the fact that he's using a EVF from Alphatron. Now, I personally haven't seen a lot of EVS on the Blackmagic Pocket. A lot of people like myself just use a external monitor, but I like the fact that he went this route simply because there's a few benefits, especially filming in broad daylight. Since you're not using any of the screens or monitor, you can look directly into the viewfinder and it's already blocking all that light. And then two, if you're using a shoulder rig, you can bounce it a lot better because you don't have to worry about all the load in the front. You can just look through the viewfinder, position it how you need to, and it's not as much weight as you need it. Even though this camera is pretty small, but once you start building it up, you want to get a nice balance. So that's pretty much the reasons why I like the fact that I'm seeing this EVF on his rig. And right now, Zacuto is the main company that I know from the top of my head that has electrical viewfinders, but they're really, really expensive. So if you have any other suggestions of any companies that have electrical viewfinders for affordable price, Comment down below if you have any few suggestions. Alright, so going to the rest of the rig, Anwar has a half case from Smallrig with the SSD holder, a matte box, top handle, grips, and a follow focus from Camtree Hunt. Powering all of this is the V-mount battery from Lanparte, as well as the V-mount plate. He uses a Redrock micro base plate as well. And for his lenses, he's adapting the Sigma 18-35 with the metabones speedbooster. So good on you finding a solution like that, bro, and I hope it works out for you. And yeah. Chris is a commercial photographer and filmmaker based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Chris has recently started out doing more video work, so he built his rig around the Fuji X-T3. Chris is using the full cage from Smallrig for the X-T3 with the battery grip, which allows many different accessories to be attached. His goal is to be compact as possible and move seamlessly from handheld, tripod, and gimbal. He uses a red top handle and mounts his Sony A6 monitor to the top of it. Powering everything, he has the DNO Lite V-mount battery and the Photog V-mount plate. And for his audio, he uses the Rode Wireless Go, which gives him, and I quote, a ridiculous amount of flexibility for his run and gun situations. And to wrap it up, Chris's lens of choice is the 16 to 55 2.8. That's pretty cool, yo.
Hey guys, it's Aaron. Today I'm going to talk about my rig setup for 2019. First on the list is my lens. The main lens that I use is my Nikon 28mm. It's an f2.8 lens. It's a vintage one that I just kind of modded. I put on a lens hood, I declicked the aperture, and I added a focus gear to it. It's really great. I don't necessarily use a follow focus all the time, but it's really nice to use with your hand and whatnot. It makes focusing much easier. Okay, next is my monitor. My monitor of choice is the Lilliput A7S. It's a 7-inch monitor. It's very great, really affordable. I think I only got it for about $200. It's powered by Sony MPF batteries. It has all of the focusing assist that you really need. For example, it has focus peaking, zebras, false colors, all of that for a really great price. That's why I keep it on my main rig. Okay, now powering the whole rig is a 24,000 milliamp hour portable battery. I use that to power the A6000 because the smaller batteries in the camera, it leads to only about 40 minutes to an hour of record time. Meanwhile, with this battery on the back, it could give me around 1 to 2 hours of record time, which is perfect for my use. One of the cool things about this rig is that it's actually assembled using a lot of Arca Swiss plates. For example, I've modded the top handle to accept Arca Swiss as well as the back of the battery pack. So I could just slide things in and out and interchange them, whether I want the battery pack to be on the top of the camera or I want it on the back with the 50mm rod support. Now for the audio, I use the Rode Video Micro. I mainly use it for scratch audio whenever I'm getting ambient noises of, say, traffic, trees blowing in the wind and stuff like that. It's really great to have some background noise in the sequences that I'm editing. So the Rode Video Micro is perfect, again, for my rig that I use. Now you might be wondering why I call this a multi-rig. Now the reason why I call it a multi-rig is because for the full rig, that is obviously the larger setup where I have the monitor, the battery on the back, shoulder pad, and everything. Now I mainly use that whenever I'm doing large productions or something where it's easier to carry a larger camera. Meanwhile, the rig can break down depending on the scenario. For example, say I'm at the beach or I'm out in public, I would use a mini rig just so it could be a bit more inconspicuous. I won't get that many people looking at me. And then the medium rig is when it's kind of a closed set that's still out in the open. So it gives me the versatility to use the camera in any setting that I need. So this rig is my end all be all rig. I have the ability to assemble it or dismantle it to whatever fits my needs. My genre or shooting style is what my girlfriend would call vintage alternative. And I think that really nails it, really. I'm a big fan of vintage film looks and stuff like that. So I really tried to spread that across my shooting style.
Yo, so that's a wrap for this episode. I appreciate you guys watching. Shout out to Nolan, Aaron, Anwar and Chris for participating in this episode of Rig Culture. Make sure to check out all of their gear down in the description below. It's gonna be a little bit more detailed, their kit box, or just a description of what they had and what they use. Now, if you want to showcase your rig, make sure to look at the requirement video and send me an email via WeTransfer. So stay tuned for more videos. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.